Salam, Lember Bete Israel, Dekike Lember Israel, Salam Bete Sab. Salam to the royal courts of Lember Bete Israel Kingdom and the Royal Supreme Court sittings in Johannesburg, South Africa at Nelson Mandela Square in Central City in South Africa. Salam to the Queen Mother of this honorable kingdom, Queen Mother Her Majesty Bukeke, Israel, Haber, Gondro. Salam to the princes and princesses of this honorable kingdom in all the four ends of the earth. That is a great honor that I address you today on certain themes within the kingdom that are of utmost interest that I should like to speak about today. Members of Lember Bete Israel Kingdom, the nation of Israel, and the 12 tribes within the kingdom of the Yemeni Israelite people that have originated from the city of Sena in Asir and the border with the southwest lands of the now Saudi Arabia and Oman. The boundaries of the great promised land of Asir that was promised to the patriarchs of Lember Bete Israel, right from the dim past and the history and the prehistoric times of this kingdom. The pre-Islamic times of this kingdom's reign and prosperity and the great success of imperial power and imperial success that has been seen through the ages, the dark ages and the bright ones, have seen the movement of the children of Yemeni Israel crossing the strait of Bab el-Mandab into Hasaba. The spontaneous migrations and the spontaneous movements for trade and voyages and maritime experiences. I greet you all in the language of Yemeni Israel, Beta Israel, Lasana Gears. Lasana Gears. And I greet you in the language of our origin, and I say to you, Salam Lel Kulukum. Salam Dekike Beta Israel. Salam Beta Sab. This is King Binyam, Selamun of Beta Israel, Lember Beta Israel, speaking from a royal court in Santiago de Chile, and in honor of our Royal Supreme Court in South Africa, in collaboration with our stakeholders to the kingdoms. I will distinguish the Kingdom of Eswatini under His Majesty King Mswati III and other dignitaries and kingdoms that exist, like, for example, the kingdom of Lesotho, to Kosiletsie. I would like to distinguish them in great honor of those that kept on to their tradition and have led their people through the dark ages to realize and to see the truth of their origin and their existence on the earth, and have protected their heritage and their lineage so greatly that there was no infiltration whatsoever. Even when there was some kind of infiltration that tried to come through, they have always subdued the infiltration and have kept their traditions alive, and they have kept their customs alive. And better Israel is no exception. We are here to be custodian of these culture, of these great, remember, better Israel nation that came out of Yemen, a long time ago. Thank you for being able to listen to this message, the royal message from the royal cause at this time. I should like to speak specifically today on the theme of the DNA testing, the DNA program that is very important for all children of Lember, Beta Israel, anywhere in the world that they may be found, in all the places they can find. I should like to address you, my people, the children that were descendants of the great Israelites that moved to the far end of the earth and even to the islands of the sea. They were taken captive, but some of them moved in dignity and trade. In migrations that were motivated by certain ambitions of great honor indeed. So we are speaking from this point of view that we address the children. I'm in collaboration with many kingdoms, like the kingdom of Gorey, the kingdom of Hassa, the kingdom of the Karanga. We are in close harmony and cooperation. And I should like to appeal to my children of Beta Israel in any parts of the world, particularly in the United States of America, to listen to this royal message that has been reserved for you. But even in other parts of the world, in any case, in the diaspora, that I should like to address you about how you could restore your heritage and your identity and come back to it. Like I said in several videos that I had before, that the children of Israel are spread all around the world, and it is our duty as a kingdom to make a call and say to the children of Israel, we are crying from the mountaintop. This is the voice of a mountain crier, the voice of a watchman and a timekeeper of Israel. He keeps the times. He blows the ram's horn on time to let you know there is something going on. There is a meeting to attend. There is an event. There is a ritual taking place. And he's saying to you, now it's time to come. We are equally making the call right now and say, come to your kingdom. I spoke in the last video, I said the kingdom that has been prepared for you since the foundations of the earth. So we are doing the same thing all over again to call you. But we have taken notice of something. The children of Israel are beginning to step up from all directions. We have to give you updates about it, that the children of Israel have seemingly started to step up and to come. They're coming in their hundreds. They're coming in their thousands. They're in our social networks. They're on our physical locations. They're coming into groups. They have created clusters and sections. And they are collaborating together, eating together, singing together, talking to each other. So we are pleased to hear this and to see these things happening. We have many groups on social media that have gathered and taken initiative to come together. We have devised internet programs of training to train the children of Israel in many things, train them on their customs and traditions which they may have forgotten, or they may have given up, or they may not even have memory of, or they may have forgotten about. So we are here to bring the whole restoration of the kingdom and all its potentials to the children of Lember Beta Israel using modern technology. We have WhatsApp groups. We have Facebook groups. We are very active on Twitter. We are very active also on Instagram. And we are all over the internet making a call, and we have a very powerful international networking web or some kind of a very well-established system of reaching out to the children through technology and also being able to see them and catch them on the ground. So we're taking care of all sides of this emancipation. So I would like to confirm that there is progress, tremendous progress that has been made in the kingdom. Even though we have problems of COVID-19, where the people have to observe social distancing, we accept it, we promote it, that we should all go into social distancing and take precautions that we don't get infected and try to avoid infections at all costs, cover our faces, use our masks, wear our masks, and be able to protect ourselves from infection at all cost. So we are in observance of all precautions that the children of Lembe Beta Israel do not get infected in this moment of the infection of the coronavirus or the COVID-19 sporadic infections. Now, I should like to make a call very straight from the calls right now. I'm sitting in the calls in Santiago de Chile of Lembe Beta Israel. We have calls also in Indianapolis under Prince Selamun of Beta Israel. We have representation in Ethiopia. We have the children of Lembe Beta Israel in Kashene, near Addis Ababa, who are active in realizing the things and the activities that will identify them as a people of Beta Israel. In Ethiopia, in other parts of Ethiopia, we're in Hawassa, we are all over, and in Addis Ababa, we are more active. And in the diaspora, we're pretty active as well. In South America, in Brazil, and we are all over the world, even in the Philippines. The children of Beta Israel are able to heed the call that was made several times through media, that they need to hear the call and come to the kingdom of Israel. Now, the DNA is important, and I should like the children of Israel to take DNA testing in programs that are very transparent, of course. We believe in DNA, but we still need some transparency in any DNA program that is being carried out. I'm sure every one of you will understand that we have very important holidays and appointed times that we observe in Better Israel. And one of those is the Sabbath. And there is a very intriguing message that the Sabbath is giving to the children of Israel. The Sabbath speaks like an entity and says, I, the Sabbath day, I'm not just a day, but I'm the creator, he says. He says this in the Tersas of somebody. He says, the Amalek himself, the creator of all of us, speaks in this way in the scriptures and says, it is not the day, it is I that need to be observed on the seventh day, so that my precepts could be heard, my commandments could be heard and be obeyed and be kept by the children of Israel. So it is not necessarily the seventh day, it is I, he said. But there was a time when his children did not heed the precepts of the Sabbath. They did not obey the precepts of the Sabbath. And there was a total breakdown, there's a total crackdown in the structure of Israel. The destruction of the temple. And the breaking down of the walls of Jerusalem, because the precepts of the Sabbath were not kept. And the Sabbath came from the heavens in a crown and said to Angel Michael, give me those souls that belong to me. There is a reprieve on the sixth day. There is a reprieve. I'm sending Michael to deliver the children of Israel from the Sheol, from the hell of fire, from the abyss of Angel Bernal, to deliver them into the heavenly places for their salvation. And then he said himself, Michael, Angel Michael, and everyone else, give me the souls that belong to me. And guess what? I speak the same words. It's the King of Israel. You, whoever you are, the United States, Europe, the diaspora, give me the children that belong to me, to come back to me. Give me the souls that belong to me. Yes. And so I heard, after saying all these words, I heard a voice, someone said, well, there is a DNA program that's taking place, and the children are being tested. Thank you. I was worried about how the children will identify themselves, or how they will be identified. Seems they don't seem to understand that there's probably a traditional way of identifying them. Well, now we have a modern way of identifying who is who in the scheme of things. Who are the children of Israel and who are not? Who belong to this kingdom and who are those that belong to another kingdom? All right. So we found that in the diaspora, There are many children that belong to different kingdoms that they were originally taken from when they were moved to the Americas, to the islands of the sea, to the Aztecs, on the uttermost parts of the earth. And we are saying now there's a DNA program, and the people keep saying, well, the DNA doesn't lie. It doesn't tell lies about you. It tells exactly who you are and where you came from, what bloodline you are, without any mistakes whatsoever. So as long as there is transparency in these DNA programs that we have around us today, as long as we have transparency in testing the children to find out their DNA result, we will accept DNA results on the basis of their transparency. I know there are some DNA programs that have been devised by some other people that may not be so transparent, but we are trusting our partners who are working with us in carrying out the DNA testing on our children that these DNA programs are transparent. So they will tell the truth of who among all these people that we have in the diaspora, in the islands of the sea, in Americas and in other places, who are they that belong to us? So the DNA program is just next to your house. It is just maybe a few streets away, a few blocks away from you. Please just go there. We will have this video message also posted on the DNA program that we're having, that is ongoing right now under Princess Credin and the Ancestral Origins team of professional doctors that are dealing with this to take care of this DNA program and identify our own. Identify our own from the rest of the people that are taking DNA testing, especially in the United States of America. So if the DNA finds you to be Lember, this is the key word to look for in your DNA results. The DNA, if it mentions Lember, this is the key word. Please note it down. Underline the word Lember. And if the DNA says so, you belong to this kingdom. This kingdom is called Lember Beta Israel Kingdom. All right. We got it right. If the DNA says to you, you are Ethiopian Beta Israel. Wow. This is the man. If the DNA mentions Yemen and mentions Southern Arabian Peninsula connections with the people from Sena, you know, the remnants of Lembe Beta Israel today can be found in Sena in Yemen. Yes. And so we will trace the DNA samples and replications that seems to connect to the people of the regions that I've just mentioned. If it talks about Ethiopia, you must be glad that it should be including you. So there are keywords. Lemba, Yemeni Israel, Beta Israel, Ethiopian Jew. Sometimes they say that, something like that. It doesn't matter. They can say Ethiopian Jew. Once they say that, you are for sure belonging to this kingdom. Better Israel, Lember Better Israel kingdom is your kingdom if the DNA says the things I have just mentioned, even if the samples reveal a small percentage or a small range of that particular identity or that particular sample or that particular indication, whatever you call it, you must know for sure that we are almost always predominantly taking control of the genetics in the whole scheme. Once there is mention of Lemba, you are Lemba. There may be mention of other things. No, we're not looking at it. We're looking at the Lemba part of you. And then you say, yes, there is a Lemba blood here. Come to us. So people, let us take our DNA seriously and be able to make use of the DNA testing. And be sure of that. We are submitting these DNA results. The documentation is submitted. And below the video, we will tell you where to direct your tests to show us, to reveal to us if they indicate the things I just mentioned, the keywords I've just mentioned, the identities I just mentioned, to show that you belong to Lemba Beta Israel Kingdom. Yes, and listen carefully. I'm not talking about the continent of Africa. Yes, that's a different topic. That's a different subject. I'm not talking about whether you're African or not. That's not the point. It's not relevant. I'm talking about a particular kingdom that you belong to, a particular lineage full of clans, families that you have come from, men and women, born. I'm talking about birth. Yes. I'm talking about your origin. I'm not talking about the continent. I'm not talking about Republic of South Africa, Republic of Zimbabwe. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about the Federal Republic of Ethiopia. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the kingdoms that you came from, since the kingdoms are made up of your true origin in terms of culture, tradition, custom, language, and way of life. That's what I'm concerned about. I'm not concerned about whether your president is this president or this republic or this continent. I'm not worried about continent. I'm not speaking the language of continent. I'm speaking the language of the belonging, the identity, which is determined by kingdoms. Yes, the kingdom will tell which nation you are in and how many tribes you found in that particular kingdom, what language is spoken in the kingdom, in that nation. Specific identity, not just continent of Africa. No, not talking about that. That one has no significance for me. That you came from Africa. No, I'm not talking about that. Maybe someone else is talking about that, but I'm not talking about that. I'm not interested. Please. I don't want any confusion at all. I'm not talking about the continent. Please, people, please. Yes, thank you. I'm talking about the kingdom that you belong to. I'm talking about a birth, who you were born of. The continent does not have children. It's not a man, it's not a woman. It's just a colonial structure. Yes. Someone can call this Mars land any name they wish to call it. Does not make them my children or your children. Not at all. It's just the name of a place. Someone has created a place and call it whatever they call it, Africa or what. This is not my interest. Talking about a language here, custom here, culture. Yes. Because I know someone is going to say, that's an African king. It's not my title. I don't have a title called African. Yeah, a Roman general had an African title, a title called Africa. I'm not a Roman general. Okay? I'm not. I'm not African News. I'm Selamun. Now, so this is the situation, my people, in every part of the world, even those who are in the so-called African continent. If you feel that there's a DNA program next to you and you want to be sure that you belong to this kingdom, if the DNA mentions another kingdom, you will be directed to that particular kingdom where there is a king of that particular kingdom. If your DNA says Swazi, you're Swazi, you can go to the kingdom of Eswatini, which is also our neighbor and our friend. We love the people of Eswatini kingdom. Yes. So as soon as the DNA says Eswatini or Swazi, please, by all means, can the king of the Eswatini kingdom be informed? They are people that must go to him. Yes. You see. Thank you very much, my people. I would like you to take your DNA test very seriously and go and get tested, and the results will be sent. We will put under this video the email or the contacts that you can make to contact us to let us know your results and say, my results say that I am Lember, so I belong to you. What should I do? Can I get together with you, please? Yes. Our partners in the DNA testing are willing to help you too. As soon as they have conducted the test on you, you are going to be directed to the right kingdom that the DNA spells out. So there is no mistake, my people. There's no confusion, my people. You'll be very excited to belong to this kingdom. Yes. And then we will teach you the things that you have never heard because you never had an opportunity, and you will be so excited to learn. As I speak now, the training is ongoing through our networks, and you will join our networking. You will join our groups. You will join our groups in different places on the ground and be happy. Then there is no problem of mistaken identity, not anymore. You will go to your people and know and learn about your culture and be happy again and be restored. As soon as you are restored, there are traditions. As soon as you arrive in the kingdom, there are traditions you will be taught. Your names will be changed. Your culture will be explained. Your participation will be made very clear. How you participate, what is your role, what is your purpose, what do you do now in the kingdom? We have many programs we will introduce you to. We will teach you a lot of things that you need to know and be happy. This is the purpose of our existence as a kingdom. If you were Mr. Johnson, you will end up being what you should have been. The name will be in Gaz, the language of Israelites, of our ancestors. The language is called Gaz. This is the language that you are going to understand, to learn how to speak. As I speak to you now, this language is being taught in our networks, in our groups. Yes. On the ground. Yes. So you will learn your language. And so your name will change from Mr. Johnson to one of the names in Gaz in your language. You will have your name in your language, which was the name of your grandfather, your grandmother, your old uncle, auntie, and the people that came before you. They had that name. You will inherit the name, the language, the customs, the traditions, and be complete. This is what you'll get. So you will be sure that you are coming to the right place because the DNA will say Lemba. Okay? His Ethiopian Beta Israel. Yemeni Israelite. Sabian. It will say those things. And once it says that, you are sure about it and you will get excited. So please go ahead and do it with confidence, knowing that you go and fall into the right hands of the people of the kingdom, not just Africa or whatever. No, those things are not specific. We're specific here about a kingdom that you belong to, a nation that you belong to, that has a language, that has a culture, has practices, traditions, everything. Thank you, my people. Salam. Salam. This is King Binyam Selamun of Lembe Bete Israel. Salam Betasa.